A very good evening and thank you for joining JBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Alan Kiyama. First, here are the highlights. Now, to our first story. During the third National Executive Retreat in Kajiado County, President William Ruto strongly defended his administration's ambitious commitments, dismissing accusations that his government overpromised during the campaign period. The two-day meeting is designed to take stock of the government's delivery of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda implemented so far. Ruto acknowledged that the journey towards national transformation has not been smooth, describing it as challenging and requiring tough choices from his administration. Susan Nganga with more. Well, the case on the Nairobi Central Police Station OCS Samson Talam today took a twist at the Milimani court. This is after an allegation of the OCS phone, which is in the possession of the Independent Police Oversight Authority IPOA, was alleged to be sending text messages to lawyers to solicit funds. The court has now summoned IPOA to appear before it and shed light. OCS Lagat is among the suspects held in custody over the murder of blogger Albert Ojwang in custody of the police.
It has emerged that the Central Police Station OCS Talam's phone, which is in the custody of the IPOA for investigations, is being breached. His defense lawyer Anston Omari told Milimani Loco today it is alleged that an IPOA officer is using the phone to send an avalanche of text messages to solicit 80,000 Kenya shillings from lawyers, including lawyer Cliff Ombetsa.
He has just given us the number, and Jibril confirms that that number is actually the OCS's number. Okay. But we need the timings of those messages, the different content which maybe and directors we can do after the court session or now.
OCS family members have not been spared either in the scam, as distressing texts have been sent to them. Following the allegations, the court has now summoned the IPOA officer to appear before it and shed more light to clear the air.
This matter may not just be about this text. I will not say so much about it. Please summon Mr. Jibril to come tomorrow or Friday. Let him give us an explanation, even as the investigations continue.
We can have a mention, and let the IO come, just for the purposes of, because it's a very serious, and very weighty allegation, and you know, it's a very sensitive matter that is before us, and we should equally take it with the seriousness that it deserves. So it has been raised and it has been reported. Yeah. So let's have a mention where now the lead investigating officer, we said Mr. Jibril will come to court.
Yes.
Only for purposes of confirming, because he's the one in custody of the same phone. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's an idea that they
Kenya is gearing up for a full digital takeover as Google Kenya now partners with schools and key education stakeholders in effort to digitize learning fully. According to statistics, Kenya and Africa as a whole will be a critical player in the world market in the next 25 years due to its young population, and therefore it is important to equip the young generations from an early age on the need to embrace technological changes.
Program is to be introduced in schools. Learners and students will get an opportunity to interact fully with the digitized learning, where the CBC material for young learners, through a partnership with Longhorn Publishers, will be introduced into the Google Chromebook, a device that will be used in schools.
The teamwork that you're able to do because of the applications that you can have at the click of a button. You can even access your Microsoft stuff from a Chromebook from the browser. It's amazing, okay? And again, that quick boot up time. And what I realized is, in the world of Google, you'll notice something. everything is neat and clean. There's not many applications. A teacher doesn't need distractions. The wellness, they consolidate everything. The notifications come together. It's beautiful. So these devices facilitate a nice environment that teachers want to use.
Consequently, learners will get an opportunity to interact with others in the world using the same content, and thus bring the world closer home.
When you get the Chromebook, it's going to open your world, okay? It's going to open your classroom. Your learning is going to be beyond the four walls. And what is taught in the classroom becomes just a precursor of your learning, so that when you go home, you carry on learning, and that is what we want to happen. And when that happens, you find that the learning that is happening is at par with those who are elsewhere in other parts of the world, because we're not just restricting ourselves with local learning. So we want to empower teaching and learning to rise to the global level, so that when we get to 2050, we get a country like Germany saying they want employees, and we as a country will say, yes, we have them ready. And actually, you can interview them on Google Meet and then get them to the flight the next day, and that is not going to be a problem because they are already acquainted working at a global level.
The project is to be rolled out in schools in July in a pilot program. More schools are on board in the third term and early next year. As per the tenets of the deal, that also has NCBS Loop, a parent or a school can buy the gadget installed with learning information through a Lipa Pole Pole module, bearing in mind the country's financial situation.
There's no need to switch. If I open up my cell phone, Android or Samsung, whatever, or iOS, Apple, it all looks the same. So whether I grab, do you know that I can grab this laptop, sign in, and I can immediately open this? Literally, I can log in there, I can log into that one, I can log into any Chromebook right now, and I can literally pull this up exactly like this from the history. That is the power of a Chromebook. Multiple profiles. Teachers don't have to worry about changing the device. That device could live in that classroom.
Google and its partners have embarked on this program until 2050, hoping to start with some learners at the pre-primary stage and work with them to the university level, where and after they will be ready for the job market. Reporting for GBS News, I'm Dennis Toya, Nairobi County.
A police constable was shot on Tuesday evening in Thika town by a boda rider. The police officer, who was in the company of his two colleagues, was on a routine inspection exercise of motorcycles in the town when they intercepted the rider, whose motorcycle did not have the unique registration code required for riders in the town. An argument ensued. The rider shot the police, who later died at Thika nursing home.
A police constable attached to the Special Police Intercept and Verification SPIV unit was shot dead on Tuesday evening at the Travers in Thika sub-county after a routine inspection of motorcycles turned violent. According to the eyewitness report, the plain police officer was on a patrol with 3 other colleagues when they stopped a rider whose bike didn't have the unique registration code mandatory for boda operators in Thika town.
Kwa watu watatu venye wamekuja wakinegotiate wakavuka hadi hapa kwa mananasi hapa kando. Si hatukuwa tunajua ni nini inaendelea. Huyo kaskari ameshutiwa alikuwa anataka kusoma kodi ya pikipiki. Venye huyo jamaa mwenye amemshuti huyo mwizi ni kama ameona pikipiki yake ina kodi akatense. Wakavurutana wakienda wakiongea, kwa hiyo harakati ya kuongea akanyang'anya huyo askari pisto yake. Akampiga hapa ya kifua ikatokea kwa mgongo, akalala hapo chini kwa nyasi.
The eyewitness account tells how the officer removed the ignition key from the motorcycle. Then a scuffle ensued between him and the rider, who overpowered the police. He drew a pistol and shot the officer in the throat. The other officers dived for cover before they could return fire. The gunman had already escaped amid the melee. The officer was rushed to Thika nursing home where he succumbed to the injuries.
Jamaa walikuwa na damana kutoka saidi ile ingine juu. Sasa wakati wamefika hapa, ndipo sasa jamaa amejaribu kung'ang'ana naye ili sasa wakaluka saidi ile ingine karibu na ile church ya PCA. Sasa kitabu wafike pale, huyu jamaa amewezwa kidogo, sasa akalazwa chini. Sasa naye jamaa akaamuka, akatoa buduki ili sasa akashuti askari moja. Sasa ofisa wenye walikuwa naye akijaribu kung'ang'ana naye, sasa akatoroka kidogo juu. Sasa huyu jamaa ni kama amewaweza, jamaa akona nguvu, sasa akashuti na huyo mwingine akajaribu kumshuti huyo ofisa akahepa kidogo, akainama kidogo. Sasa hiyo risasi ikaweza kupenya, ikapotea kidogo. Sasa kuamuka tena wakaanza sasa makibishano ya shoot futa ni kufute. Kwa vile kitu ningetaka kusema, sisi hatukuna kitu tungeweza kusaidia juu sasa kama sisi abiria wenye tumekuwa hapa kwa barabara wakati tumeona hiyo kitu kiendelea ungeweza kukaribia. Kwa hiyo kitu tumefanya sisi ni kuokoa uhai wa ofisa.
The gunman later commandeered another boda rider ferrying a passenger near the Royal Hotel several meters away and is paid off.
Venye kuvuka kwa lami, wenye walikuwa the other side across, akaenda akasimamisha hiyo pikipiki ilikuwa imebeba abiria. Akaambia ashuke ama amshoot. Akachukua hiyo pikipiki akaingia mahali pengine kunaitwa section 9. Hapo ndipo ameacha pikipiki yake na magazine. Akabeba na ingine akarushwa quick mat akatoroka.
Mimi nilipata mkasa wa kujakiwa na mtu alikuwa na bunduki nikiwa na customer na akatusikisha kwa pikipiki. Akatuambia tushuke, tukashuka, akatuonyesha bunduki hapo, akapotea na pikipiki. Kibahati nikapigia wenzangu wakaifuata, na yeye vile alikibizwa kuna mahali enda akaiacha kwa hii estate ya section 9, na sijaipata ikiwa imeharibiwa mahali popote. Kwa sababu aliacha na akakimbia. Alituambia shukeni kwa pikipiki, mbona nipiga risasi, na akatuonyesha bunduki. Customer akashuka wa kwanza, na mimi nikishuka alikuwa tayari ameshika pikipiki na akanionyesha bunduki. Siko tukakimbia.
Thika DCI officer Jacinta Mbai confirmed the incident, adding that the rider had dropped a loaded magazine, which the crime scene investigators recovered. She says that the officers are in pursuit of the gunman, who is still at large.
Jacinta Mbai, CCI Thika West, kitu kama saa 10:30 hivi tulipata information ya kwamba kuna askari wetu wakiwa patrol wakapatana na pikipiki yenye ilikuwa imejificha namba. Na wakati walikuwa wanaulizia the rider kwa nini ameficha namba, akakimbia. Ndio akakimbizana na yeye around some meters. Wakati anajipretend ana kneel down, ndio akatoa pistol akapiga askari yetu, na askari yetu pia wakakimbizana na yeye na wakompata. Tulifuata venye alienda, tukakuta ameangusha magazine chini ikiwa na risasi, na akainjaki pikipiki ya rider mwingine motorbike, akaenda akakimbia nayo, akaenda kaitupa mahali, lakini tumerecover.
Victor
During the third National Executive Retreat in Kajiado County, President William Ruto strongly defended his administration's ambitious commitments, dismissing accusations that his government overpromised during the campaign period. The two-day meeting is designed to take stock of the government's delivery of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda implemented so far. Ruto acknowledged that the journey towards national transformation has not been smooth, describing it as challenging and requiring tough choices from his administration. Susan Nganga with more on that.
Let me repeat this for the avoidance of doubt. The focus of this administration and this team is not the next election. The focus is the transformation of Kenya.
President William Ruto has today gone on the defensive, pushing back against the narrative that his administration made too many promises on the campaign trail. Speaking from the KCB Leadership Center in Kajiado County, where his government's third National Executive Retreat is underway, President Ruto was unwavering. He stood firm on his administration's ability to fulfill its ambitious manifesto pledges, declaring that the talk of overpromising simply doesn't hold water.
This administration was elected on a platform of transformation, reform, and doing things differently. The accusation I often get is that we overpromised. That is the accusation I often get, that we overpromised. But I want to tell you that we did not overpromise. We promised what is doable. And shortly, because it is documented in our manifesto, all the commitments we made to the people of Kenya are documented in the manifesto. And I am very clear in my mind that we will be able to deliver on that manifesto successfully, to be able to earn the correct marks.
The president candidly admitted that his journey towards national transformation hasn't been a stroll in the park. He described it as challenging, a path that demanded tough decisions from his team. To critics who've accused his administration of weaving unrealistic dreams, President Ruto offered a direct counter. He maintained that every single commitment made was not only achievable, but also meticulously documented. He even invited scrutiny, pointing directly to his administration's manifesto as the very blueprint, proving the feasibility of their promises.
We just crossed over the midterm, and we now have an energized, broad-based government, and we are confident that with the broader goodwill, with a broader infusion of ideas and synergies created, we can accelerate the momentum for the delivery of the transformation of Kenya.
The message was clear: confidence in delivery. Susan Nganga, GBS News, Nairobi.
Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has asked leaders in various positions in police offices to be tolerant in discharging their duties, especially when dealing with critics, while referring to the recent killing of blogger Albert Ojwang in a police cell and the shooting of a masked vendor. The governor said there's no justification to take anyone's life, even under provocation, as Dennis Thoya reports.
Governor Anne Waiguru noted that as leaders, every day some people insert them from morning to evening, and they have never sent people to arrest them because as leaders they're expected to have a little more tolerance.
Sisi kila siku hapa kama viongozi kuna wale wanatutusi kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni. Wanatutusi kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni. Hatutumi watu wawashike. Because as a leader, you are expected to have a little bit more tolerance. If you have no tolerance, kama hauwezi kujicontrol, you do not qualify to be a leader. You don't.
Speaking during the distribution of climate change mitigation items at Kamigua grounds in Kutus, Governor Anne Waiguru added it is extremely unfortunate that in a democratic republic we can have incidents where people are picked from their homes, taken to cells and killed.
And so, I want to be very categorical on that matter. That it is extremely unfortunate that in this day and age, in a democratic republic, that we can have incidences where people can be taken from their homes, taken to a cell, and killed. And then we start passing the buck from one individual to another. Mimi nasimama na wale tunasema there must be accountability and action must be taken. And that action must be taken not just because somebody has said, but we as the people of Kenya must see and believe that action has been taken.
On the shooting incident, she said the video shows no provocation, but there can be justification for taking anybody's life, even if you're insulted. While reaffirming respect for law enforcement, the governor stressed that police must exercise restraint and be held to the same standards of accountability as the public. She emphasized that while protests must remain peaceful and non-destructive, the police must uphold the law by respecting the constitutional right to picket and refraining for excessive force.
Pia nichangie moto kuhusu hili jambo ambalo la kijana ambaye alikuwa kule Nairobi akapigwa risasi. Nimeangalia hiyo video mara kadhaa. Nimeangalia video, nikaangalia tena na nikaangalia tena. Na nikasikia kuna watu wanasema ati provocation. Mimi sikuona huyo kijana akiprovoke mtu yeyote. Mimi nimemwona amesimama, lazima kukue kuna matamshi. But there cannot be any justification to take anybody's life, even if you're insulted. There is no justification. Kwa sababu tukisema atukikasirika unaweza kufanya, hii nchi itaenda wapi? Kwa sababu wale ambao wako na bunduki ni wengi. Kuna wale wako polisi, kuna reservists na kuna private gun holders. Tukisema mtu ambaye ako na bunduki ukimwongelesha na heshima sana kwa sababu anaweza kukuua wakati wowote. Tunaweza kubali kweli? We will not allow this country to go into anarchy. That policeman must be held to account.
Reporting for GBS News, I'm Dennis Toya, Nairobi County.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21114. We'll be right back.
Mahali ambapo nakukaribisha tena kwa mpigo tena zaidi kila siku ya Jumamosi. Unazidi kuungana nasi.
Ukiangalia Real Betis walianza kwa moto sana.
Ndani ya Sports Sugu, mahali ambapo tunakuelimisha na tunakujuza mengi kuhusiana na mambo ya kandanda, sababu hapa nchini Kenya, ligi kuu nchini Uingereza, mahali ambapo ni Hispaniola, Ujerumani, Ureno, kila kitu inakuwa iko swadakta kabisa.
Today is all about models. So girl Alison, you tuned into Art Club, the best art show in the whole of East Africa.
My name is Abigail Paula, but on my socials I go with Peaches Paula. Yeah. I did procurement and logistics.
How do you deal with those negative comments? I'm a rejection.
Yeah.
How do you advise me?
But the heaviness of it, rejection is redirection.
Now you were crowned Miss Kenya UK.
Yeah.
Lakini before we get there, I want to know your journey towards that title.
Started with Miss Freshers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I ended up being the first runners-up.
And the question of the day is, can you survive without internet?
Ngumu, plus kuachilia hizo story zote zikupite ni ngori. Mwambie ukweli. Like hii ni kama kuambia mtu mwenye alikuwa amezoea kushindana nguo, mwambie toa nguo ushinde uchi. Hiyo huku atriki kwa sababu sasa like ilikuwa imekuingia kwa kichwa kabisa.
Sasa unaweza kaa holi ya bila simu.
Kuspend hii most of the time kwa simu. Also you need to run skills. So nilipatana na later hapa nikapo apply huko. And then I started learning skills. Digital skills.
hadi siku mbili haiwezi. Kwa wiki naachilia hata kama ni siku mbili ama sometimes na extend tu wiki mzima. Napata shiki simu yangu.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back to our next story. Her Excellency Mrs. Rachel Ruto, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, participated in the 7th edition of the Musk Foundation First Ladies Initiative Summit held in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The summit, convened by the Mark Foundation, brought together 14 First Ladies from Africa and Asia. Now, the Mark Foundation beneficiaries, development partners, and members of the media. Here is more from the summit.
In the vibrant city of Dubai, a powerful gathering of women leaders took place. Kenya's First Lady, Her Excellency Mrs. Rachel Ruto, stood shoulder to shoulder with 13 other First Ladies from Africa and Asia at the 7th edition of the Mark Foundation First Ladies Initiative Summit. This isn't just any summit, it's a unique platform where influential women come together to spark change, tackling some of the toughest challenges facing their countries, from healthcare access to girls' education.
It's a great honor to have all of you with us to achieve our objective of building healthcare capacity, supporting girls' education, and empowering women, especially the women who's living with infertility and living with the stigma of infertility. And being the ambassadors of More Than a Mother, it's a great achievement for these causes and to achieve these missions and vision. Thank you very much also for our partners and the dear guests and our alumni who joined us from all across 52 countries to be with us today to benefit from these educational programs that are going to be held in parallel with this session and tomorrow as well. So really a great honor and great pleasure to have you all.
Her Excellency's message was both heartfelt and urgent.
Thank you.
Taking to the stage, Her Excellency Mama Rachel Ruto delivered a passionate call to action. She emphasized the urgent need to empower girls and remove the barriers that keep millions out of school. She urged the Mark Foundation to expand its More Than a Mother campaign, highlighting the importance of school feeding programs.
This remarkable platform inspires collaboration, action, and real impact across our beloved continent and beyond. I believe as First Ladies, it is our responsibility to establish and build strong, long-term partnerships with organizations like the Mark Foundation that can help us to embrace access to quality and equitable healthcare solutions and support girl-child education for our communities.
Beyond education, Her Excellency addressed the summit's broader mission, breaking the stigma of infertility, supporting girls in STEM, ending child marriages and female genital mutilation, empowering women, fighting gender-based violence, and raising awareness about diabetes and hypertension.
The Mark Foundation's education program, Educating Linda, currently supports 47 underprivileged yet high-performing Kenyan schoolgirls by offering full scholarships from secondary school until they graduate from college. I believe every girl in Kenya and across Africa deserves the opportunity to pursue her dreams, to see herself as a doctor, an engineer, a teacher, a scientist, a pastor, or any other profession she aspires to.
Her message was clear: collective action and strong partnership are essential to transform healthcare and education across Africa.
Brutal war in Sudan continues to accelerate as an immediate consequence of inconsistent flow into the country, meaning that the battle is over. In another notification of the emergency in the Northeast African nation, the Independent International Fact-Finding Mission for the Sudan emphasized the escalation of war machines in populated areas and a sharp rise in sexual violence.
Now it is its third year. Conflict has killed tens of thousands of ordinary people, displacing over 13 million Sudanese and exposing many to sexual hostility, looting the demolitions of homes, health facilities, markets, and other foundations. The International Fact-Finding Missioner Mohamed Chande has identified the vast range of weapons produced in countries such as Russia, China, Serbia, and United Emirates.
Now we know the kind of arms that are being used: heavy artillery, modern warfare, drones, and in fact they have escalated.
To clarify how humanitarian relief has been equipped, the mission understood that the Sudanese Armed Forces had mandated administrative regulations, while the Rapid Support Forces had looted convoys and blocked aid entirely. The result of this act has led to famine mainly in Darfur. The mission understood that the Sudanese Armed Forces had mandated administrative regulations, while the Rapid Support Forces had looted convoys and blocked aid entirely. The result of this act has led to famine mainly in Darfur.
In terms of international responsibility, we urge all states to respect and enforce the arms embargo under United Nations Security Council Resolution 1556.
Slamming the explosion of UN aid convoy in Al-Qoma en route to El Fasher on 2nd June had bombarded the Saudi hospital in El Fasher 12 times. In May, and Rapid Support Forces targeted airstrike on Obeid International Hospital in North Kordofan and also killed 6 civilians and locked down area last working clinics. Such attacks are shattering the delivery aid in a lot of communities. Rishami said that the attack of humanitarian workers and defenders is paralyzing the delivery of aid in a lot of that community.
The attack on these humanitarian workers and human rights defenders is really crippling the delivery of aid in a lot of these communities. It has impact on starvation, it has impact on famine, it has impact on access to basic things like food, like the kitchens that they actually organize.
Reporting for GBS News, I'm Frank Ochie.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faced sharp bipartisan criticism during a tense Senate hearing after refusing to answer public questions about potential military strikes on Iran, citing classified security protocols. His stance reignited a long-running constitutional battle over war powers, with lawmakers split over presidential authority and Congress' role in authorizing offensive military action. Here are the details.
Tensions flared on Capitol Hill as U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth refused to answer questions about potential military strikes on Iran, citing national security and classified protocols. The move deepened a long-running constitutional rift over war powers.
Most of what I can or should say would be reserved for a classified setting.
Supporters of President Trump pushed back, pointing to historical precedents of unilateral presidential action. The clash exposed a broader pattern spanning administration from post-9/11 authorizations under George W. Bush to Barack Obama unauthorized military interventions in Libya and Yemen.
The understanding since the very beginning of this republic that if it's more than defending the United States, if it's going on offense in any way, congressional authorization is needed.
As lawmakers prepare for further debate next week, the confrontation reflects not just Pakistan tension, but a deeper erosion of institutional checks on war making. With the risk of conflict with Iran looming, the stakes for restoring congressional authority have rarely been higher. Beatrice Wangoi.
Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra is facing mounting pressure to resign following the leak of a private phone conversation with Cambodia former Prime Minister Hun Sen, which has sparked political turmoil and public protest across Thailand. In the 17-minute recording, Paetongtarn appeared to dismiss a Thai military commander involved in the ongoing border dispute with Cambodia, calling him an opponent and suggesting his actions were more about showing off than benefiting Thailand. She also addressed Hun Sen as uncle and promised to attend to his concerns, remarks that critics say made Thailand appear weak and submissive in the face of Cambodia's demands. The leak has deeply embarrassed the Thai government, leading to the withdrawal of the Buma Thai, the second largest party in the ruling coalition, which significantly undermined the Paetongtarn parliamentary majority. Other coalition members are also reconsidering their support, raising the risk of the government collapsing and triggering early elections. Well, it is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. We'll be right back. A powerful new voice is emerging on the global stage this week. Abu Dhabi hosted the first ever Global South Economic Forum, a landmark event bringing together nearly 100 leaders, thinkers and policy makers from over 20 developing nations, held alongside the G7 summit. The forum aimed to spotlight the priorities of the Global South and push for a fairer, more inclusive global economic system. Here is more on the story. Well, tens of thousands of Argentines took to the streets of Buenos Aires on Wednesday in a massive show of support for former President Cristina Fernandez, who recently began serving a 6-year prison sentence for fraud under house arrest. The rally, organized by a judicialist party, filled the iconic Plaza de Mayo and overflowed into surrounding streets, with demonstrators singing, drumming, and waving national flags under the banner Argentina with Cristina. In a pre-recorded message played to the crowd, she vowed, "We will return with greater wisdom, unity, and strength," signaling her determination to make a political comeback despite the Supreme Court upholding a conviction and imposing a lifetime ban on holding public office. Supporters see her conviction as politically motivated attack and an assault on democracy. Israeli gunfire and strikes killed at least 140 people across Gaza in the past 24 hours, as some Palestinians in the Strip said the plight was being forgotten as attention has shifted to the air war between Israel and Iran. At least 40 of those killed over the past day died as a result of Israeli gunfire and airstrikes on Wednesday. The deaths included the latest in nearly daily killings of Palestinians seeking aid in the 3 weeks since Israel partially lifted a total blockade on the territory. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be right back.
before we dive in?
No. In marriage is more than.
Is love enough? Let me just ask that question first before we dive in.
No. In marriage is more than love. It's there is love, there is trust, there is respect.
What is the definition of love in the context of marriage?
Love, to me, is one of the cornerstones of the marriage. And for the marriage to work, you demand effort, total commitment, and shared vision.
Like, you can't tell your wife, come and sit on my laps.
How hard is it for him to tell me, come and sit on my lap?
Can your mom do that?
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back. Now, Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra is facing mounting pressure to resign following the leaked conversation of a call with Cambodia former Prime Minister, which has sparked political turmoil and public protest across Thailand. Now, in a 17-minute recorded, the Paetongtarn appeared to dismiss a Thai military commander involved in the ongoing border dispute with Cambodia, calling him an opponent and suggesting his actions were more about showing off than benefiting Thailand. Here's more on the story. Emerging on the global stage this week, Abu Dhabi hosted the first ever Global South Economic Forum, a landmark event bringing together nearly 100 leaders, thinkers, and policymakers from over 20 developing nations. Held alongside the G7 summit, the forum aimed to spotlight the priorities of the Global South and push for a fairer, more inclusive global economic system. Here's more on the story.
The first Global South Economic Forum was held in Abu Dhabi, bringing together nearly 100 policymakers, scholars, and experts from over 20 developing nations. Representing 85% of the world's population and more than 40% of the global GDP, the Global South is emerging as a key driver of global economic growth and transformation. Organized by the Center of Geoeconomics for the Global South and leading regional institutions, the forum ran parallel to the G7 summit to highlight the perspectives of developing countries.
The world is on a new economic world order is setting up now. You know, we are on the cusp of change. And I think now Global South has enough voice that we can come together collectively and make our own decisions. So far, I think we have been ruled by G7, or you can say the Western world, but now things are changing and they are changing very fast.
The forum called for urgent reforms in global economic governance and emphasized the importance of multilateral cooperation. This year's forum focused on the growing challenges facing developing nations, from a $4 trillion annual gap in sustainable development financing to rising geopolitical tensions and the race for technological sovereignty.
The 21st century belongs to the Global South, so we need a new world order. The core of this world order is multipolarity and sustainable, more equal, inclusive and resilient development. I think such important goals require joint efforts of the Global South countries.
The Global South is not just demanding change, it's working to shape a more equitable and inclusive global future. Elvin Muyodi, GBS.
We have come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again next time, same channel. My name is Stephen George, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Alan Kiama. Good night.
everywhere, GBN.